Ladies and gentlemen, used politely as a manner of speaking, of course, the day has finally arrived. Syntorial 2.0 is dropping in a few days' time. In this video, we'll take a quick sneak peek at the new features. I'll explain a bit about Syntorial if you're new to it. And so you can see exactly what the new features are, and it's looking really great. So here we go. Okay, so first things first. What is Syntorial? Syntorial is an interactive learning program. You get a synth, a soft synth, and you also get the learning program, the software that shows you how to program your own synth patches from scratch. Now, why is it so important to learn how to program your own synths from scratch? Why do you want to learn how to do that from ground up? I mean, you could use presets, for instance. Every synth, soft synth, comes with a bunch of presets factory installed. Or you can buy preset packs online from various vendors. Why would you even want to bother to learn all the basic kind of settings and parameters when you can just load up a good sounding preset and go and run with that? I would say there's nothing wrong with using presets, especially when you're starting out and you're learning a bunch of stuff about music production. You know, learning synthesis at the same time might be a little bit overwhelming. But if you really want to become a good producer, create your own signature sounds, then learning how to program synths or doing synthesis and sound design is really important. So first things first, if you're using presets, that's fine, but there's a chance that somebody else has already used that preset because it's available to the general public. So that's slightly embarrassing. It's not the worst thing in the world, but it's slightly embarrassing. But the main reason is you want to create your own signature sound. So if you imagine somebody like Daft Punk, you can immediately hear that Daft Punk sound. So if you want to create your own signature sound, then learning synths and learning synth programming is really important for that. So that's the main reason why it's important to learn synth programming. And this is where Syntorial really shines. I cannot think of any other course or any other way of learning synth programming that is as effective and as fun as using Syntorial. So what is Syntorial? With Syntorial, you get a complete interactive process for learning synth programming from the most basic level up into more and more complex kind of patches. So you get the learning program. You also get the primer synth, which is a standalone synth, or you can use it as a plugin in any DAW. It comes in VST and AU formats. So you get a synth and you get the learning software Syntorial itself. So imagine, for instance, you're looking at an interface like this and you're hearing a sound in your head and you have the ability to tweak all these parameters to get exactly that sound you want. That's what Syntorial teaches you how to do. Now, when you're starting out with synthesis, it might be a little bit overwhelming looking at an interface like this. But this is, any kind of synth worth its salt will definitely have more parameters even than this. So if you think of Serum or Massive or or any of the synth silent, you will have many more parameters than this. So it's going to be overwhelming if you just start out and you're thinking, okay, how do I create a sound? And you're looking at all these buttons and faders and knobs. It's overwhelming. So this is where Syntorial really shines. So this is one of the final challenges, but I'm going to go to the left-hand side table of contents over here. And I'm going to go back to the first lesson.
Welcome to
Now, you'll notice immediately what happens is once you start a lesson, you'll see a demonstration video where Joe Hanley, the founder and creator of Syntorial, shows you that particular challenge. So you'll watch that video and you'll know exactly what to do in the challenge. So once you've watched the video,
Syntorial. I'm Joe Hanley, and I'm going to be your guide throughout this course. You're going to learn the most essential synth parameters. These are controls that
So you watch through that video, and once you're ready and you understand the challenge, you move over here to the top right-hand corner and click challenge. Okay? So immediately that sound, the hidden patch, will start playing. Now your task in Syntorial in each of these challenges is to take this sound and recreate it with the parameters that you're given. But as you can see here now, it's just the parameter that you're working with in that challenge. And that's what makes Syntorial great. It restricts it to only the parameters that you're working with in the challenge, and then you progressively build up more and more complexity until you can program the whole synth using all the parameters available. So, like I said, you've got the hidden patch and the visible patch there. So this is the most basic lesson, the first lesson. It's just about recognizing different kind of waveforms that you find in synths. So in this case, this is what let's quickly do this challenge. So here we can hear what it sounds like, the hidden patch that I'm trying to recreate. And then my visible patch sounds like this. So that sounds about right, but let's hear again. So yeah, that sounds right. So it's a saw wave. It's definitely not the pulse wave. Pulse wave sounds a little bit more hollow, so you can hear there's a difference. So I would say that's right, saw wave. And once you feel confident that you've created the right patch, then you can hit submit and get rated. So as you can see there, it's gone green. So that means that the challenge was completed successfully and correctly. Then I can finish and go on to the next lesson.
Pulse wave. The pulse wave is different from the saw because it lets you change its shape. By default, we have the full pulse width.
Okay, so now Joe will explain the next challenge, and then I can go on to the challenge. Let's do this challenge as well quickly, just so you can see. So in this case, we're going to start the challenge over here. Okay, now I've heard that. Okay, now let's go to my visible patch. Okay, so definitely, I think this is a pulse. Or no, it might not be. But let's change the pulse wave and listen to it. That sounds about right. Yeah, so that sounds good to me. So it's slightly a medium pulse width. And so that I'm fairly confident that is the correct patch there. So I'm going to submit it. And yes, I'm correct. So I've passed this. I've got 3 stars on this challenge. And this is how it just keeps on building up. You'll be adding more and more parameters. You'll be learning more and more stuff. So let's go to say, okay, then you've also got these quizzes over here. So you'll have lessons and challenges, and then you have quizzes, and then you also have group challenges later on. But yeah, so you get the basic idea of how Syntorial works. Let's take a look at some of the new features that have been added. So I'm just going to go back to something like that final challenge and quickly run through the different features that have been added to Syntorial that you wouldn't find in version 1. Now, the first thing is the interface. It looks much more modern, much more slick. Looks much more like modern synth plugins. If you know the old version, I'll put in a screenshot of it here. It's a massive upgrade. It's looking great, and it's resizable, so you can drag and resize this to whatever you like. I suggest using the full screen mode because that, then you're immersed in the process, but you can drag and resize it any way you like. Okay, that's the main upgrade, I'd say. The interface, it's been long overdue, but it's looking great. So kudos to Joe with this. It's really looking good. Now, the next feature that's quite exciting is that he's also added a visualizer. This you didn't have in version 1. So now, if you're slightly bit more visually orientated, you can actually see what these different parameters are doing. So you've got your amp envelope, filter envelope, modulation envelope, LFO, and filter. And each of these have their own little different aspects that you can look at: dynamic range, dynamic release, all that type of stuff. So filter will look like an EQ. So if you turn your filter on this, then you'll have you'll see the cutoff move as you do that. If you change your filter type to say bandpass, then it's going to have a high and a low cut. So that's all the stuff you can check out with the visualizer. It will show you modulation, all this type of stuff as well. Really great, but you don't have to use it. You can hide it as well. If you just want to use your ears, you can hide the visualizer, and there you go. Other things that have been changed is some of the parameters have been recalibrated. So where some of the settings were a little bit too close to each other, so it made it hard to distinguish what's the difference. Joe has gone and rethought that and changed some of the increments that you can change some of these parameters with. Another great thing that has been done is if you get close enough to a setting, so say the correct setting was there, and you've put it there, or say the correct cutoff was there and you put it there, then you get an orange rating. So instead of red being wrong, you get an orange rating, and that means that you won't be penalized. You'll still get your 3 stars because you were close enough. So this just helps make the process much smoother, and you'll move through the lessons much better. Some of the other new features, the group challenges used to consist of 6 patches per challenge. They have now been reduced to 3. So you don't have to do 6 patches on each challenge. You can only do 3 and pass the challenge, but you still have the option of doing the other 3 in a bonus round. So that just makes the whole process much faster. And then these demonstration videos have been recreated, all of them. So they're all reproduced, and Joe has included his face in some of the videos as well. So that just makes it much more interactive and fun to watch the videos as well. So there you go. That's the basics of Syntorial that has been added. One more feature that I'm going to mention that's really great and really packs in a lot of value for Syntorial is the randomizer challenges. So you can go up to options over here and launch a randomizer challenge, which means Syntorial will go and create a random patch with random settings for you to recreate. So every time you do that, it's going to create a random patch that you have to then recreate. That means that even if you finish all the lessons and you've gone through everything, you can still keep on practicing your synth programming and your listening skills by using the randomizer. So that just adds an infinite amount of value to Syntorial. It's already great value for money. It's already the best way to learn synth programming. But with the randomizer, it just means that you are getting so much more value out of this particular application. So that's Syntorial in a nutshell. I just want to say kudos to Joe and his developers for creating this new version. Really great work, well thought through, well designed. It's looking lovely. It has always been, since its launch, the best way to learn synthesis and learn synth programming from scratch. Now it's just had a facelift and it's looking much better. It has some awesome new features. So really great work. Good job, Joe.